Hey folks, Craig here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Nintendo e-reader. Now the Nintendo e-reader was an add-on accessory for the Game Boy Advance. It was released in 2001 in Japan and 2002 in North America. The e-reader fit right into the Game Boy Advance like so. Now taking a look at it, it's actually quite big, especially when compared to the Game Boy Advance itself. But it's not very heavy. It's just sort of a big, clumsy-looking device. It doesn't add too much weight to the Game Boy Advance itself. We have a stickered logo here. This part here goes right into the cartridge slot. This is where you swiped your e-reader cards. We'll get to that in a minute, obviously. And this right here is a link cable pass-through. And it's important to understand that this is just a pass-through, and I'll get to that in a minute as well. Now the e-reader could scan special e-cards with a dot code, as you can see is running along the edges here, that contain data. And the e-reader could use this data to play games or run applications, and it had enough memory to store one game or application on the e-reader itself. When the e-reader came out in North America, it came with this Manhole e-card, which was a recreation of the classic Game & Watch game, Manhole. See the back here. And you just swipe these two strips through, and it would play the game. Got the controls right here. As a promotion here in North America, many stores, like Electronics Boutique, GameStop, gave away air hockey e-cards with the purchase of an e-reader. You just swipe these lines through and you could play a simple air hockey game. Not a bad freebie. Many types of cards came in packages just like this. This is Donkey Kong E. One of the more popular types of cards were actually full Nintendo Entertainment System games. Full single player modes, that is. Any game that had a multiplayer mode could not be playable on the e-reader. Here's a set of Donkey Kong Jr. e-reader cards. This is the NES game. NES games were contained on 5 cards, each with 2 dot code strips, so there were 10 codes to put together an NES game. And Donkey Kong Jr. E here, we have the controls, how to play, some tips and techniques, items. Basically, you know, a simplified instruction book on these cards. And that's what the back looks like right there. Animal Crossing also had some cards you could purchase, and you could scan these in and get different items, different patterns. Got the NES link there, that's kind of neat. Different songs, different town tunes. And if you didn't have an e-reader, this actually has like the notes right on it, so you could actually program that right into the game if you wanted to. Actually, a lot of these cards have like passwords you could enter in and get something. That's pretty neat. They have all different bags. Different characters from the game. To connect the e-reader to the GameCube to scan in these Animal Crossing cards, obviously you would need a Game Boy Advance to GameCube cable. Looks a lot like this. Would plug, actually, you have this plugged in there. This would just clip right into there. This would just plug right into your GameCube. Yeah, look how big this thing is. I have here a set of Super Mario Bros. 3 e-cards, Super Mario Advance 4. These are pretty neat because you could scan these in and get instant items or new levels. That's pretty cool. Of course, some people think like scanning in a leaf is cheating, but let me tell you something here. In order to get this leaf, you need 2 Game Boy Advances, one with the e-reader, and another running Super Mario Bros. 3, and then they need to be connected with a link cable. So if you actually have all that crap, I think you've earned your Super Leaf. Now, I'm not too big on claiming anything I own is rare. For some reason, I don't like the word rare. I might tell you it's tough to come by, it's not terribly common, but rare, I don't know. It seems like the word means different things for different people, but what I'm about to show you, I think it might actually be fair to call it rare. What I have here are what are believed to be the rarest e-reader cards. Now, these cards were given away as promos at E3 in 2002, which I think was actually just before the retail launch of the e-reader. So these cards actually came out before the e-reader itself did. Over here we have two Pokemon cards from the Pokemon trading card game from Wizards of the Coast. We have a Pichu and a Hoppip. A Hoppip and Hoppip? I don't know. I don't know what article to use here. And these have dot codes along the sides here. And some of these can play little mini games. Some of them have little applications like a coin toss, which is helpful because I've never played the Pokemon card game, but my understanding is some cards are contingent on a coin toss. So that's pretty neat. There's actually a variety of Pokemon cards with the e-reader dot code on them. I'm not sure what they all do. I haven't really tested it out. And there were also these trainer cards, which you could scan into, I believe, Sapphire and Ruby, and battle new trainers. That's kind of neat. Here we have an early version of the Manhole E card. As you can see, this is the E3 version. You can see the E3 logo down here. It's a little bit different, got some different colors. Otherwise, this side of the card is pretty much the same. The other side is a little bit different, however. This is the E3 card, this is the retail card. The games are exactly the same though. Now this one here, this Kirby card, this is thought to be the rarest e-reader card there is, and that's because it just basically told you whether you won a contest or not. You just scan this code in, and it would tell you if you're a winner. I wasn't a winner. You can see the E3 logo down here, and basically just advertised the Kirby cartoon on Fox Networks that was airing back then. But this is a pretty neat card to have. I don't know why I hung on to it, considering it's a loser, but my assumption is most people actually threw it away because, you know, unlike these other promotional cards, this one really doesn't have a use after telling you you lost. Now, I'm sure you're wondering about compatibility. Well, the Nintendo e-reader will work on a Game Boy Advance SP. However, it doesn't sit flush. As you can see here, the pass-through kind of sits on top of here. And that's why it's important to understand why this is a pass-through, because you can still use the external connector port on the Game Boy itself. This is not important. Doesn't matter that this is here. So why don't we take a look at an e-reader card being scanned in and played with. The e-reader is fully compatible with the Game Boy player for the GameCube. It is not compatible with the Game Boy Micro at all. It is not compatible with the big original model of the DS, and while it will plug into a DS Lite, it will not boot.
Scan.code. Start application saved on e-reader. Load application from Game Boy Advance or Nintendo GameCube. Scan.code. You need more dot codes to start. Scanning of dot codes complete. Start application. Is it okay to overwrite this application? Saving.
I think it's best we end off while I'm winning. So there you are, folks. the Nintendo e-reader for the Game Boy Advance. It's actually a pretty neat little accessory for the GBA. These things are incredibly inexpensive these days. I've seen them as low as $5, maybe $10, maybe a little bit more depending on if you want it in the box or not. Now, because the e-reader actually was a mild success, even though it did sort of fizzle out after a couple of years, there's a wide variety of cards to purchase and play around with on it. And the cards themselves aren't terribly expensive either. You can hop up on eBay. There's usually auctions of like 3 or 4 sealed cards, much like this, for maybe $10 or $15. So it's an incredibly affordable little oddity. And if you've got the few extra bucks, I definitely recommend checking it out.